Here's 8 simple hacks to improve your mental health. My name is Virgia. I'm a mental health clinician. I help to keep top performers happy at work. Let's get started. Health is one of the most critical things we have in life. With good health, you're able to succeed, you're able to set goals, and you're able to actually enjoy your life. So why are we talking about mental health? Well, January is Bell Let's Talk month, and I want to shed light on what we can do to improve our overall mental health. Let's take a look at what the stats say. Did you know that more than 1 in 2 people struggle with their mental health and they aren't even getting the help that they need? The numbers are actually staggering, and this is why it's so important to break the silence. Also, did you know that more than 200 Canadians will attempt suicide every day, and tragically 12 will lose their lives? Behind these numbers are stories of pain, of despair, and families that have been shattered. During the pandemic, the number of opioid overdose skyrocketed. Mental illness affects far more people than you think. If you feel like mental health or mental illness is far from you, I beg to differ, because it affects everyone. So I'd like to share a personal story of anxiety and my experience in how I overcame. And the idea is to show you what anxiety could look like, and someone could be struggling and you would not even know. So growing up, I had a lot of confidence issues. I felt like, I didn't like being around other people. It was really hard to look them in the eye. It was hard to share my feelings. Oftentimes, my self-doubt or me second-guessing myself was a natural consequence, to the point where I felt like, how can I actually sustain a lasting job? Or who would hire me if every time I have to share my opinion, I was crippled with fear? But at some point, I decided I wasn't going to let my anxiety get the best of me. So regardless of my feelings, I still went ahead and did things. I'm really thankful to have people in my life, pastors, mentors, community supports, family members that I can actually turn to. And it wasn't until I worked with someone one-on-one that I saw the depth of the anxiety, the crippling fears, that so many things in my life I just did not go after because I just thought I just couldn't do it. Even like starting a YouTube channel, thought about it for years, but just the idea of putting myself out there and that fear of failure, and guess what? Add on the perfectionism that I'm probably never going to start. So it's so important to get the help because it really makes the difference. But the reality was, as much as I wanted to get the help and I got the help, culture played a huge part. I am Jamaican descent, and a huge part of the Jamaican culture is, one, we are resilient people, we're strong people, but at the same time, talking about challenges is just not something that we often do. So there's a lot of stigma that I had to overcome, but thankfully, I was able to seek support. All right, let's get into the 8 tips that can help you to boost your mental health. The first one is sleep. How are you sleeping? How often do we ask our colleague, how was your sleep? Or how was your night? Figuring out how many hours you need is so important. And as adults in our working and busy lives, we need as much as we can. But I'm not going to give a specific number because it varies depending on your lifestyle, your health considerations. But I would say pay attention. And how do we get better sleep? I use the 3-2-1 method. 3, be mindful of what you eat 3 hours before your bedtime. So sometimes, depending on what you eat, sometimes digestion can take longer. So be mindful of that. 2, stop drinking fluids 2 hours before bedtime. And then 1, take a hard break, at least an hour or more, from devices. These tips can really improve your chances of having better sleep. Did you know sitting is the new smoking? Yeah, it is. Just by moving around, you're actually reducing your risk of death. There's many studies that reveal how movement can help your lifestyle. So taking more steps, like 10,000 steps, can help you significantly reduce anxiety, depression, fatigue, confusion, and mood issues. Another study shared that 500 steps you take a day decrease your risk of cardiovascular disease. So I would want to get moving, because just by moving around and getting in your steps, you're actually helping your own mental health. How do I keep active in my busy life? Because I have lots of things going on, lots of different moving parts. Well, first I have to know what time of day works best for my schedule. So I'm not a night person, so if I delay activity at night, it won't happen. So first thing before I go to work, I often get that workout in. Another way I get movement in is trying new things. Last year, I tried salsa dancing. I'm Jamaican, I'm expected to have rhythm, but sometimes I don't have rhythm, and that's the truth. So by learning to dance, it was a creative way to get me moving and not really just in one location like the gym. And of course, going for a walk. And instead of always opting to eat with friends, sometimes I'll actually ask, would you like to have kind of a workout date? And that's important for me because I notice the difference between when I have a workout and when I don't have a workout. The people around me thank me when I do have one. 3, are you taking breaks? Taking breaks is so important, and it doesn't mean you need to take a hard 20-minute break. It might be literally just looking out the window, or it might be for every 45 minutes you actually work, take a 5 to 10 minute breather, because the most productive people often take breaks. They just don't do marathon work consistently. I'm not saying you shouldn't do marathon work, but it's so important to take those breaks. Number 4, the DEXA scan. This is something I want to try in 2024. And basically it's a complete body scan, and it shows you, where your fat is in your body. It shows you your percentage of fat, and it helps you to target the different areas in terms of your health. Number 5, I automate my protein. Being a pescatarian, I have to be creative in terms of how I find my protein source. I often have a protein shake in the morning, or I might cook in bulk. I'll make sure I cook a bunch of protein for the week. When you do that, you are staying full longer, and it helps with your concentration. It helps with your mood as well, because have you ever been around someone that's hungry? Not too good, right? So it's so important to automate that protein and to plan ahead. Number 6, flexibility. Flexibility is so important. I know I'm not always the best at getting those stretches in, but after realizing how important it is, I at least try to attempt it. So when it comes to flexibility, there's actually a meta-analysis, and the article is called Chronic Effects of Static Stretching Exercises on Muscle Strength and Power in Healthy Individuals Across a Lifespan, a systematic review with multiple level analysis. And this article showed when you choose to stretch, it reduces arterial stiffness and it reduced blood pressure. So there's one YouTuber that I really like, and I found the Body Coach, and he's really good. He has different exercises. What struck me was the wind down exercises. It was really helpful. It was quick. It was easy, and it really helped me to not have as much stiffness. Number 7, are you getting your vitamins and supplements in? So important. I know a few years ago, I was feeling really fatigued and I didn't understand why. So I went to my doctor, and it turned out that my iron was low. So these things are so important to be mindful of. And another thing I realized was that even though I was doing the work emotionally on dealing with my anxiety, I also needed to do the work physically in terms of what is my body saying and listening to my body. So by getting those supplements and getting that information, I can actually say I see a difference. So don't forget to get those supplements in. Number 8, stay connected. That is a huge thing that can help your mental health. I know sometimes we want to keep it to ourselves, but talk about it. I've gotten over so many things a lot quicker because I chose to share it. And just because you share it doesn't mean you need someone to solve your problem. It might just mean you just need to vent, or you just need a different perspective. But the idea is we all need help from time to time. I know taking good care of your mental health might not always be the easiest, but taking the stance to make it a priority and doing simple tweaks in your day can make the world of a difference. If you like what you heard, be sure to hit the like button or the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.